Welcome back. Eric here. Today we're talking about the tipping point. So we've talked a lot about muscle memory, but today I want to talk about what we're really working towards when we talk about learning with our bodies. What we're working towards is something called the tipping point. And that tipping point is where before the tipping point, you don't really have the muscle memory. Maybe every single time it's kind of a look, right, of where that needs to go. And that is totally fine. That's part of this process. It's part of this amazing journey that we're on together. So the tipping point is where you get to the point where you don't have to do that. And just like you see with me, you see that my fingers just kind of fall right where they're supposed to be. Now, how do we get to that tipping point? You know, when my son was trying to learn how to swim, we would bring him to the pool for his weekly swim lessons. And every week, it was basically like we were starting over again from scratch. Another example is me trying to play golf. I've got friends who play golf. You know, I've never really dove in and gone down that rabbit hole, much to my wife's thankfulness. But I have gone out a number of times, right, and just try to hit some balls. Every single time, I'm starting from scratch. And maybe by the very end of that, you know, just hitting balls out on a golf field or whatever, by the very end, I might finally have a little sense of my form, and I'm hitting some that aren't breaking too many windows at this point. They're going, you know, kind of straight. But because I've not reached that tipping point where my body can just grab it and knows exactly how to swing, because my son hadn't reached that tipping point where he truly knew how to swim, every single time it's like starting from scratch. And it's the same thing if you are picking up a new instrument and you're getting, you know, once a week lessons or whatever, and then you're setting it aside. It's going to take so long. Pretty much, you may never reach that tipping point, actually, unfortunately. And that's why what we are doing here with running through these scales is so that we are racing towards that tipping point. But it can't happen if you watch, you know, my 5 minutes or whatever, and maybe you go through it a couple times and then you set it aside and say, well, I'll see Eric again tomorrow. But it can happen very rapidly and very quickly if all you do is, you know what, forget about blowing in even, is just do this. Just over and over and over again. And this does not have to be a boring thing because it really doesn't have to take a lot of mental energy. You can be watching a favorite movie. You can be listening to a favorite song. You can be even having a conversation. You can be doing so many other things with your mind because it's your body that's at work here. And so today, rather than be like, here's another thing, why don't I teach you another thing? If we're really going to do this in 30 days, if we're really going to have you come out the other side being able to improvise and play beautiful music, it's really important that we are focused on this tipping point. And so today, it's another chance for you to set up that metronome. And if you can't always do it with the metronome, that's okay. The metronome is kind of like the sprinkle on top, right? It's the icing on the cake. But the cake still tastes pretty good, depending on your thoughts on cake, even without the sprinkles or without the icing. And so today, rather than throw something new at you, it's going to be a reiteration of how just drastically important this is to shortcutting all the rest of the learning. So today, your assignment is, again, to work through this up and down. There's no greater thing you could do right now to learning to play beautiful, heartfelt music than do just this exact thing. So that is the assignment today, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow, knowing that you are going to be one big step closer to that tipping point. I'll see you tomorrow.